Hi everyone, and welcome to the next part of our Scratch series. This week we're going to start building a version of this game, which is based on the old arcade game Asteroids. So the idea is that you've got these moving about. You're going to have a spaceship which can move and shoot at each of these, so that you get different scores as you do that. And you can sort of move around, speed up, slow down. One of the things that we have looked at before is this idea that if you go off the edge of the screen, you come back again. So we'll be using that as well. And then if you get hit, then you've got a certain number of lives which will activate on each of these. Our version is not going to be exactly the same, just because of the difficulty of drawing some of these sprites in the online version of Scratch. But for today's one, we'll start at least getting our player sprites set up and controlled on any of those. So first thing we want to do, once we're in Scratch, we're going to remove the cat. We're going to go down to here and click on Paint, and we're just going to do a really simple version of the player spaceship. If you then want to come back later and do more detail on that, then of course you can do that. So I'm going to start off just with the oval. I'm going to make that red, and then we're just going to draw a fairly small oval, a fairly short one, and I want to put that right in the middle of the screen. Right, so it just gives us an idea there. We're going to make it maybe just slightly smaller later. Just so that we can see where the front and the back is, we're going to put some sort of jet or flame coming out of the back there. So we're going to get the line tool, and just very close to it, doesn't have to be touching, we're just going to move outwards and draw like some zigzag lines up to here. Now what's really important is that every time you finish one, you click in the same spot before you drag the mouse, so that eventually you can join these up. So once that's joined up, we're going to go to Pointer Tool, and we're going to click on the line, to be exactly on the line there, not just inside it. With the fill, I'll go to this slide till we get like an orangish colour, and I want the dark orange, and then we'll click on the fill tool there. Let's just go back and click on that again, and then I'm going to set the outline to invisible, so that we've just got this bit. Click on that one, and we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste it. We can move that out of the way, and then we want a different colour again. So I'm going to try for more of a yellowish colour, I think there, that'll stand out on the orange in a minute. So just like that, it's changed the colour, that's fine. Make this a little bit smaller, and we're just going to put that inside there. Drag a box over both of them. Now be very careful not to touch this red oval. We just want to be touching the ones that we want to move. And then I'm going to use my keyboard to move that over there, and then click on back, so it puts it sort of behind. I just want to move it down slightly so it looks to be around in the middle. So that's our first sprite costume. Right click, or if you're on a Mac, control click and duplicate that. Again, very carefully just touching the flames bit here and not that, and then I'm going to flip that vertical. So what we will get is just a slight animation on those flames from there. So click back on the code like I just did there, and back over to here, and then I'm just going to make that slightly smaller, just so that we've got a little bit more room to move around, but we'll do that as part of the game itself. So when the flag is clicked, a few things need to happen here. We're going to go to 0, 0. On looks, we're going to set the size. So looking at this, I'm going to just take a guess, 80%. If I double click that now, that will go to the size it's going to be. That looks okay to me, I think. So you can always adjust it a little bit later if you want to do. So we're going to go to 0, 0. We're going to set the size to 80%. probably a good idea also to make it point in a particular direction every time. So I'm just going to leave that at 90 so it'll point there. So if we just run that, everything should just go to there. Once we're happy with this setup, we're going to start now on some of the motion. Normally when we move things, we use this, move 10 steps, move 5 steps, whichever, but we want to be able to vary the speed this time. So before we do anything, we're going to go down to variables. We're going to make a variable, call it speed, and click OK. Then we've got set speed to 0, and we may as well put it in here as that's kind of like our setup program for everything. Go back to events, and we're going to have now when the flag is clicked. We're going to go to control, and we're going to use an if then statement. Now we need to go into sensing, and we're going to take this one, key. I don't think we've used this before because we've generally done it from the events and control. So key, and we're going to use the W key to accelerate our spaceship. So if W key is pressed, we can join that on now. We're going to go to our variables, and we're going to change, so make sure you don't use set, just change. We're going to change the speed by 0.1 and put that inside. You can right click on the word if and duplicate it. I think if you're on a Mac it would be control click on there to get the same effect. And then we're going to use the S key, and for that we're going to change the speed by minus 0.1 and put that one in. Now the issue at the moment is that it will check once because we're saying if this is happening then do that, if this is happening do that, and we don't tell it to do anything else. So we need this inside a loop. So if we go back to control, we're going to get our forever loop, and if you put it just underneath when the flag is clicked, it should then go around both of those two. So if we run the game now, when I hold down the W key, our speed is increasing and decreasing on there, but it's not actually doing anything else yet. So what we now need is another program to get everything moving. So when the flag is clicked, we want to forever loop again, and our motion is not going to be moved 10 steps. I'm going to go back to variables, and it's going to move speed steps, and hopefully this shouldn't go up quite as much as we do that. Yeah, there we go. And if I press S key, it will move backwards. We may stop it doing that later in the game, but we do get each of those. I think that's a good point to just stop, get these 3 programs built, and then come back and continue with that again. So if you pause the video, go and do those now, and then come back again. When you've done that, we now obviously going to need some more controls, so we're going to put them inside this same program, inside that forever loop. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to duplicate one of these. I'm just going to drop it outside of this. So our next 2 keys are going to be A and D. So if we go up to there and A, we're going to remove the speed. We're going to go into motion, and we're going to use the turn anti-clockwise, and 5 degrees should be about right for that. Let's duplicate that one. We can join that underneath. So we're going to use the D key for our other direction. We then need to take that one out so that we get a turn clockwise and change that to 5 degrees. And then very carefully we need to put that inside the forever loop. So if we run our program again now, we can start to speed up, and we can turn both ways. We can slow down and so on with any of those. This isn't animating. I did say before that's one of the things that we're going to do with this. So we're going to duplicate this program. I'm going to remove the turns out of this one, and I'm going to remove the change speeds. We want this separate because if we start putting costume changes or delays in, it's going to make our controls very sluggish. So on this one, if the W key is pressed, let's go into looks, then we're going to say next costume. If the S key is pressed, next costume. Now we might need a delay in there as well, depending on if it flickers, so let's just try that. So it's a little bit too flickery, I think, for my preferences. So we will go into control and we will have a wait of, and again, it's just try it and see what looks right to you. So try 0.3 seconds in both of them. Let's start again with that. It's just so that we just get that bit of animation as we're doing these. So if you want to make that slightly smaller or bigger, that's your choice from any of those. So at least we've got each of these. Would be a good idea, I haven't done it already, to save these. I'm going to call this one Meteors. So I'll put a title up there and let's save that one. On the stage, let's click on backdrops and go to choose a backdrop. There's a space one here, and I think possibly our best one there would be the stars for this, so let's bring that one in as well. I don't know where the other backdrops. Yeah, the other backdrop's up here, so we don't need it. So let's just remove that. Go back to the code. Go back to our sprite here. So what we should have now is that we can move this around. Looking at this now, I'm just wondering whether we need to make it slightly smaller as well. So we might do that. But it's sort of hitting the edge and not doing anything there. So let's fix that size one first of all. Let's go to say 65%. Yeah, I'm liking that a little bit better. The last thing that we're going to do with this today then is get the idea so that once we go off the edge of the screen, our player then comes back on the other side there. So we're going to need a new program for that. We're going to events, and when the flag is clicked, we're going to go to motion. We're going to scroll down slightly because we want these X position and Y position. So I'm just going to tick those boxes just for the time being, and I'm going to drag the X position over here. So if I grab hold of this sprite and move it to the edge, okay, we're saying it's around the 240s there. So what we want on this one is an if then. We're going to need an operator, and we're going to use to begin with the greater than symbol. So if X position is greater than 240, we'll go back to motion and we're going to set the X to minus 240 and put that in there and join this up. So I can duplicate that one now. We're going to take this out, take the X position out, throw that one away, back to the operators because now we need a less than. So if X position is less than minus 240, then we're going to set that to 240. Again, this would check them once at the beginning of the game when we know our sprite's going to be in the middle, so we're going to need a forever loop, which we put on there, and then let's just have a test of that and see if it works. We'll start in the middle, let's accelerate towards the edge, and our ship comes there. Let's turn it around and send it back again, and it comes there. So now that we know that's working, it's not too difficult now to do the same for top and bottom. So if we drop that about there, it's coming in around the 170s, 175, something like that. So it's probably not worth duplicating that one because it's going to be too different. So if go into motion, let's find our Y position, go into the operators, and we'll start with greater than. So if our Y position is greater than, let's try 175. If our Y position is greater than 175, into motion, then we are going to set the Y to -175. Let's duplicate that one, take out the greater than, remove the Y position, throw the greater than symbol away. Let's get the less than symbol. Make sure that that drops in that. And it's just going to be the opposite. So -175 there. This is 175. Let's put that in there. So if the Y position is less than -175, set it to 175. So let's drop those inside the forever loop and try that now. So we turn upwards. Let's go up. Our sprite should appear on the bottom. Let's turn it round the other way. And it's coming down onto each of these. Last thing that we're going to do then is go back to motion and we turn off those indicators of the X and Y position. At the moment then we've got our spaceship that will move around, speed up, slow down, and so on. So I'm going to stop there so that we don't spend a long time on this. We'll probably do 3 lessons on this, I would imagine. Next week we can add the asteroids in here, and then we can look at how we get our ship to shoot them and start working on the scores and such, probably the week after that. Please, again, once you've done all of these, don't forget to make sure you save it. If there's no save up there, move this, click save now, and hopefully I'll speak to you again next week. Thank you.